All right. Hi, I'm Carm. I am a behavioral health nurse with ORS Home Care. I've been doing dementia for the past 20 years of my life. This is the third class. Some of you I recognize, some of you I don't. So the first class was an introduction to Alzheimer's. What is it? What isn't it? What causes it? What can we do about it? The second class was about communications. How do you talk to somebody with dementia? What's the proper approach? What doesn't work? There's 22 rules that I talked about. This is the third class. This is legal issues. So we're going to, talk about what's expected, what isn't by law, when to get things in place, and those questions. So we're going to go through this step by step. There's a lot of information here. And unfortunately, it's stuff that we've got to, talk about. The next class, and that will be in the new building in Lecanto. So it's the last Wednesday, will be on caregiver stress. What is it? What causes it? And everyone, I love this, everyone starts nudging their partner. Be you. Anyway, so we're going to talk about what is caregiver stress, what causes it, what can you do about it, and taking a different approach to how you deal with life. So here we go through legal issues. Again, I've always told you, you will see these two slides at the beginning of every class. 1, dementia is a very thick book with lots of chapters. There's a chapter called Alzheimer's. There's a chapter called stroke dementia. There's a chapter called Lewy body. There's a chapter called HIV/AIDS. There's a chapter that's not on there called ERD, ethanol-related dementia. You drink yourself into dementia. All of these are a different disease and they all have different processes to them. So just because you have memory issues, never assume that it's got to be Alzheimer's. It can be something else. But the 3 cruel realities of Alzheimer's. 1, the entire brain is dying. Not just memory and emotion, that's the frontal lobe, but memory, emotion, the ability to move, the ability to have visual memory, this area back here, this large chunk on the sides that deals with language processing, the ability to speak, the ability to listen, understand, formulate an idea, then just for fun we run it to the front of the brain to get an emotional issue with it because no one wants to talk to somebody, so we want to get our emotions in it and then get it out and spit it out our lips. All of that goes on in this area. So the whole brain is dying. 2, it's progressive. There's an early stage, a middle stage, and a late stage. It will continue to get worse. And no, it will never get better. We all know, once the brain starts dying, we never regenerate those cells again. So once dead, dead. And 3, there is no cure to this disease of Alzheimer's. We've talked about the difference in stroke dementia and all the other ones. So here we go. Advanced directives. Advanced directives is a written document that what you want, how you want your medical decisions made. Easy. 1, living will. 2, healthcare surrogate. 3, autonomic donation. This is if you want to leave your body to science. All 3 of these can be done in a simple document. Does not have to have, an attorney present. But living will. This is what you tell people you want done. It's called a living will because you tell them while you're still alive. If I should ever become incapacitated, I don't want tubes, I don't want, all that goes into a living will. Okay? It's it's usually a 2-page document, sometimes 3. But they require attorneys. Okay? We're going to talk about what takes attorneys, what when you don't need one. Living wills because, and I'm going to tell you, being in the healthcare profession, doctors, assisted living buildings, you name it, hospitals, we love documents done by attorneys versus going out on legalnet.com and pulling up some document and typing your name in it and hoping it flies. We know that when a lawyer says, here's your paperwork, it's all signed, sealed, delivered, that it will hold up in court. And that's, in essence, what everyone is trying to avoid. So that's a living will. Do not resuscitate. DNRs. If you're terminally ill or you have a loved one in a vegetative state, then I always tell people, get a DNR. Do not resuscitate. This document says, I'm going to pick on you because you're just sitting there looking too calm. I walk in your room. You're on the floor. You're not breathing. You don't have a pulse. I legally have the right to say, I can't touch her. You notice how I said, I can't touch her. I can't do anything. She has signed an order that says, don't touch me. Because in the United States, if you don't have paperwork that says, don't do this, you get it all. So if you have an 86-year-old mother and you have none of this paperwork in place, she gets the same medical treatment as that 18-year-old kid that gets in a car wreck. She gets all the tubes, the ventilators, you name it, she gets it, because that's how the law reads. You get it all unless you can prove to us, that she didn't want it. So, DNRs, it's a state form. You do not need an attorney for this, okay? Signed by you, a legal representative, and your physician, all agreeing that, I'm 86, my heart's horrible. If you walk in and I'm dead, leave me alone. Now, you have a DNR. I walk into your room, you're on the floor going, help me, help me. That doesn't mean I can look and say, well, you have a DNR, just stay there a few more minutes. I don't need to do anything. I have to, by law, call 911. I still have to get you out of the building and to a hospital, your home, wherever. All it says is if I come in, you're on the ground, you don't have a pulse, you're not breathing, don't start beating on my chest and giving me mouth. That's all that document says. I walk in, you're gasping, help me, help. I'm going to send you out no matter what. So understand, this is not something I get to look and go, die. Come on, hurry up. I got paperwork that says I don't have to do anything then. There are 5 legal statuses for everybody in the U.S. And we're going to talk about the difference of a power of attorney, a durable power of attorney, legal guardianship, incompetency, and what a Baker Act is. Now, a healthcare surrogate. Here we are in that little iffy zone again. It's a written document saying that I'm assigning him to make medical decisions for me. They hold up usually in court, but depending on how much money you're worth, how much fight there's going to be in this. The best one are durable power of attorneys. These are, again, a legal document. But surrogates can only deal with your health care matters. Durable power of attorneys deal in financial, legal, and medical. Now, I'm going to pick on somebody. You have a durable power of attorney, and I always make sure people, when you do your paperwork, go home and look at it. You should name, I don't know if you're married, I'm saying you are. You should always name your husband. But I'm also going to name our child, my sister, somebody. Do not only name your spouse. is your durable power of attorney. Because husbands and spouses are quite frequently in the same car when the drunk driver hits the side of them. So you want an independent. Plus, the other problem, we're married, I'm your power of attorney, somebody is going to die. So if I die and you've named me, that paperwork becomes worthless. Now you get everything. So always name a child or somebody else. If you want and you don't trust your children, okay? You can always say, I'm going to leave you my medical because you're a nurse. I know you know what you're doing. And I'm going to leave you my financial because you work at a bank. I know you understand banking and money. Okay? You can always split up which piece in your durable power, because you can have one written for financial. You can have one written for medical. And I name Susie Q for that, and I name Carm for medical because he's a nurse. He should know what he's talking about. Also understand. Once you sit down and say, I'm naming you this, and then follow with this is what I want. I don't want tubes. I don't want this. I don't want that. Now I know you're going, but we have a living will. A power of attorney can override a living will at the last moment. Doctors don't like to get in at that point when they say, well, she's dying. Do you want us to disconnect? Because her living will says the durable power of attorney can say, no, wait. Can't we give it a day or two more? And most doctors will go, okay, because they don't want to get into that fight. Now you're looking at a court battle, especially when they're thinking, if she makes 2 days, we'll be lucky anyway. So durable power of attorney. So always make sure that when you name this person, she knows, he knows exactly what you're expecting them to do. And again, look at your paperwork. If you have an old one, which is a power of attorney, this is when we get into the dementia piece. Make sure that you have durable power of attorneys, not just power of attorneys. They're identical, except for when a person becomes incompetent, the power of attorney is done. See, that's when everyone goes, oh, I got to go home and see if I have durable or power of attorney. Okay, there's the difference. Most lawyers only write for durable power of attorneys now. They don't even talk about POAs. But POAs used to be the thing to do. Then it went to court, and that's when they went, okay, now we've got to do this durable part. If, for any reason, you choose to leave your body to science, here's how it works. You, one, notify, it's on the back of your driver's license. We made it pretty easy. Two, but you want to leave your body to science. Okay, that all has to be in paperwork. It has to be agreed upon. Then, and because people think, well, maybe this will be a good way to get rid of Dad. Well, if we do this, we don't have to bury him. You have to transport him from here to University of Florida, so you're going to pay for the transport. They don't pay to get the body, or the in Tampa. You have to pay for that transport, so there's still money involved. Once then the body goes to University of Florida Med School, they use it as a cadaver that they dissect for 2 years. At the end of this, they cremate the body, and the state then takes the ashes into the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and pours them. That's part of the contract. The same holds true of organ donation. Except for, you're in a horrible car wreck, you're probably in the hospital already. Once they harvest the organs, then it reverts back to, now what do you want to do with your burial? You're just missing whatever body parts you've donated. The thing to remember, and looking around this room, they really don't start looking at 50, 55-year-old people's organ donors. There are just too many problems at that age. Unless you're a dead match. Excuse the term dead match. If you're the perfect match for someone, they would consider it. But just to put you out on the system for people looking for a kidney, at 50, 55, your body's already used your parts a lot. So, guardianship. This is the trickiest one. Okay? Guardianship is designed for all-encompassing power over someone. So, this act, you are basically giving up all your rights as a human being. And we all know that people have rights. The right to refuse medication, the right to visit with whoever they want, the right, you know, all those rights you have go away. It usually involves 2 doctors' opinions, takes an attorney, takes a court appointment. So are you hearing cha-ching in this process? About the cheapest is $2,000. It can go into the tens of thousands depending on how much fighting there is involved in this. But $2,000 would be pretty cheap. There are 3 forms. This is when I said from 2,000 to more. Voluntary, limited, plenary. Voluntary. I know I have dementia. I have no family. I've outlived my family. I know I'm going to need somebody to take care of me. I'm going to go out and find a court-appointed guardian to take care of me. And hire this person. Yes, you hire guardians. Understand, guardians also have to present information every 6 months to the courts to prove what every penny of your money they spent out of your accounts. So it's not like they just get to go rampant through your accounts. They have to report. So, voluntary. I can't handle the money anymore. I need to turn over that responsibility to someone who legally can pay my bills. Limited. These are usually court-ordered. You have some ability, but you don't always make good choices. So, competency, these usually are the bipolar people that they pick up, that they Baker Act, and then they go in front of the courts, and they argue, you know, this woman should never enter into a contract again. She should not be responsible for her money. And the courts look and say, okay, you're now responsible, but I'm going to let you live wherever you want. You don't have to be as long as you take your meds. So, that's a limited. And then the worst, and this is, I say worse, plenary. This is where you go in front of a judge and the judge says, you are incapable of running your life. You will never have control of anything ever again. Doesn't mean you're necessarily stuck in a hospital or assisted living. Some of these people are still on the streets, but they take control of everything in your life. And these are the rights that they can strip away from you. The right to your money, your right to vote, your right to government benefits. Think about that. That would be Medicare, Medicaid. Your right to drive, your right to travel, your right to get a job, your right to enter contracts, the right to sue, the right to be in court. You actually have no rights in court. Your guardian has all your rights. The right to manage property or make gifts, decide where your residence will be, your right to medical treatment. So a guardian can look and say, I don't care if she doesn't want that heart valve fixed. I'm saying she's getting it fixed, and the doctors say, yes, this will be fixed because this is what the guardian wants. And then the one that make, the social environment or social aspects of their lives, this means entering into a relationship with somebody. I knew a bipolar woman that she would meet a guy and usually within 4 weeks be married. Well, finally, the guardian, they put her under full guardianship. She got married again, ran off, got married. When the guardian found out, she just simply went to the courts and said, this, I'm the guardian, this does not hold. And they went, okay, no marriage. Because marriage is a contract with contractual parts to it, like health insurance and everything else. Competency. Here we go. Does the person have the ability to make and to be held accountable for their decisions? That's the legal definition. We use it loosely in medicine, going, she's not competent. But it doesn't hold unless it's by a court of law. People take, this is when it gets to be expensive. Mom, you can't run your life anymore. I've got an attorney, I'm taking you to court. Which then the courts say, well, then she has to have an attorney to defend herself, and we have to stand there and argue in front of a judge about, is she competent, is she not competent? And then the judge, now remember this is a judge, not a doctor, makes the legal decision about stripping rights. But competency, that a person has the ability to make and be held accountable for their decision. Incompetence. Now, here's where it gets clever. You can go to a doctor and say, you know what? I need you to write me a letter. Dad is bad. We both know it. Would you write a letter saying, my dad is incompetent? Now, why would you do this? Because once it's signed, it's a legal document. If you get this, if your dad is at home and someone starts ripping him off, you have a letter of incompetency from a doctor. Judges throw the book at people that take advantage of incompetent elders at home. Then plus, judge is also going to look at you and say, why have you left your dad out there? You need to take responsibility. But it will stop some financial problems, because I had a lady that her husband was very demented. She got a bill from a visa company that he'd bought $20,000 worth of flooring in New Jersey, to which we kind of laughed at it at first, because we knew Frank had not left Florida, let alone New Jersey. And the arguments we got into with Visa, and they just wouldn't budge, because somebody had his name, his birth date, his social security number. So we had to get an attorney, and then we had to get the letter of incompetence, and then that went to Visa, and then the attorney threatened to just go to the newspapers and talk to them about how big companies, work over older couples. And that's when Visa said, well, I guess this is a bad charge. And I'm like looking at Frank thinking, you don't even know you're alive on this planet, let alone did you buy $20,000 worth of flooring from a Lowe's in New Jersey. Decision-making capacity. Again, this goes to competency. The components of decision-making are as follows. Do you understand the options? And once you understand them, can you make the right choice of the two options? That is what the law looks at as competent. You understood what you were doing when you got in the car and drove off. That's decision making. Informed consent. Now everyone in here, probably if you've been to the hospital and the last had a test, Informed consent is what they come up to you while you're laying in pre-surgery, and some nurse will walk up to you and say, you know, may I look at your bracelet? Oh, yes, you are. Okay. You're going in for a colonoscopy. This procedure is done this way, but you could have kidney failure, liver failure, your heart could stop, you could throw clots, and you could die. Do you understand? And you're thinking, I thought all we were doing was a colonoscopy, and how large is that tube? You know, kidney failure, you're looking the wrong place. But all of these could happen with any surgery. So they have to list them for you. And then you sign your name, and you're going, I gotta have this. You know, I don't have any choice. The doctor told me I had to have this. And, you know, I did the go lightly yesterday. I don't ever want to go through that again. You know, no, I'll do anything. Please don't make me do it again. But the individual concerned must have adequate reasoning faculties and be in possession of all relevant facts at the time the consent is given. I.e., your dad goes in for surgery. You're the power of attorney. You are going to be the one stuck with the informed consent. You understand all of what they're trying to tell you where dad would, I don't even know why I'm here. Let alone, what am, you know, you're here for a colonoscopy. Oh, what, who? You know, so. And this comes right out of the law. Judgment makes it impossible for someone to give informed consent includes such factors as severe mental retardation, severe mental illness, Alzheimer's disease, or being in a coma. So if they have Alzheimer's, they are not allowed to do informed consent with a doctor. Informed consent also implies, now see, here we go. A lot of these older people, when they get dementia, fall in love with each other. I'm just being honest. They'll go out and buy jewelry. They'll want to take them on trips. In a sexual content, explicitly asked the other if their consent is informed. And that's a funny way of saying, I'm picking on you. You and I are going to get in a romantic relationship, which means we're going to be in a room somewhere alone, which means you could get pregnant, you could get a sexually transmitted disease. If your husband caught us, he'll kill us both. Okay? That's informed consent. You're having a colonoscopy. You could have kidney failure, liver failure. So sex involves informed consent. But no one ever does that, says, wait, let me give you informed consent. I need you to sign right here that you understood all this. That's called implied consent. And because in court cases, implied consent is you understood what you were getting yourself into, so paper isn't needed or a signature. So, like Anna Nicole Smith that got married, and everyone said she did it for the money. The guy was like 90-something. And they argued he understood implied consent. He understood what he was doing. With the family saying, no, he didn't. So, Baker Act. Baker Act only is in Florida, so don't be calling your loved one in California saying, oh, you better get a Baker Act because they don't have it in California. It is a Florida law. That's the only state that we have Baker Act, so understand that part first. This infers you get to you're taking care of your dad, and your dad pulls out a knife, says, I'm killing all those Nazis in the backyard, cover me, and takes a knife and is running around stabbing the dogs and threatening the neighbors. Okay. It doesn't have to be that crazy, but I have had knives pulled on wives. Wives shoved through, glass windows. Okay. So you call 911 and you say, I need the cops, I need a Baker Act. So unfortunately, now you get 2 cops, not mental health professionals, that come to your door and say, what's going on? Why do you think we need to take this person? There are 3 criterias, and this comes off of their form. I didn't do this, this is theirs. 1, are they mentally ill? Well, I don't know, I'm going to have to talk to them for a few minutes. Then, are they in danger to themselves or others? Well, he's wielding a knife. He's threatening to go over the fence and chase down the neighbor kids. Yep, that would be harm to others. And are they likely to suffer neglect if we leave them alone? If they pass that criteria, then the police, and here's where it gets bad, have to handcuff that individual, put them in the back of their car, and take them to Springbrook, which is the closest mental health facility in this area. In Ocala, we go to the centers. Here you go to Springbrook. They are there for 3 days. It is a 3-day lockdown. Unless they walk in and the psychiatrist says, what were you thinking? You go, I don't know. Just wanted to freak the wife out. Then they say, you know what? You can go home. But they hold them for 3 days, try to adjust their meds, and then they make a decision. Do they need to stay longer? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The mental health system is so short-funded in the U.S. that a lot of people just get bumped right back out on the street after 3 days. And you're thinking, why didn't they hold dad? Why didn't they keep mom? Because there's no money. So they bumped them out. So when the cops are looking for things like rapid speech, flight of thoughts, can't concentrate, suicides, hallucinations, hoarding is now a big issue for these people. They get to houses and they're going, oh no, this is one of those. But here's the other thing you have to, the Marchman Act, if you're wondering what that is, your neighbor calls and says, he's running around on the street naked with his hair on fire saying, I'm a candle, I'm a candle. And they get there and they look, and as they drive up, they notice that he's now just drunk an entire bottle of vodka. He's not crazy, he's drunk. Baker Act is for mental illness. Marchman is for drug offenses. So they can pull the Marchman Act and take him to the hospital. And then the elder things, wandering at night, not eating or sleeping, unrealistic fears, uncontrollable anxiety, and they look at the quality and the quantity of the food. If they open the refrigerator and it's full of rotting food, they're taking them in because they're afraid they'll start eating it. So that's what a Baker Act is. It's only for 3 days. Do not think, oh good, they've got them. They'll keep them there until they'll fix and they'll send them home. They won't. They will quickly say, okay, good enough. She's calm, send her home. The ethical issues related to all this law that we've talked about. So you're thinking, the basics you need for everyone: a living will, durable power of attorneys for financial and medical, your will. And I always tell families, once you get your will, make photocopies of everything and send them to your children. All of them at the same time. And say, this is what mom and dad want. Do you have any questions? Talk to us now. Because then there's never going to be a fight over, but I thought I got the opal ring. Why does she have the opal ring? But she got the rocker and mom always said I get the... If it's not written down in a will, then it all goes to the executor's decision. So if you want a list, I want Sally to have my opals and Betty to have the pearls, and she always wanted my salt and pepper shakers. I mean, you've got to put it in writing. Otherwise, it all goes to the executor's decision. And that's where the fights start happening within families. So always send your wills. Now, unless you have thing where, you know, I give, of my 4 children, 3 of them get, you know, 30%, and I didn't like you very much, you get 10. If you've got that in the will, get ready for the fight. But, you know, if it's a, you know, all the money will be divided equally among the children. Just send it out to them, let them see, because nowhere in your will does it ever say what you're worth. It always says money will be divided. If the children start asking, well, how much is this? Say, are you that desperate to know? But always tell the family, and then let the children, you get to be the referee and say, no, she gets the pearls, she gets the rockers, she gets the opals. That's how I want it. And let all 3 of them know. The game's off. You've already made that decision. So, in order to extend autonomy when loss of capacity is anticipated, estate wills, and power of attorney for health care are necessary. Now, everybody, I'm going to pick on you. He is what is called a freestanding adult. He doesn't have, he doesn't have a guardian. He has a durable power of attorney, but he is able to make his own decisions. That's freestanding. Okay? I would prefer that he go to an attorney at this point, these 2, this couple, and get all their paperwork done. Then the children can never say, well, Dad didn't have 2 brain cells to rub together. He couldn't make that decision. But this is when it gets ugly. Unless he's been declared incompetent, he is called freestanding. Every person in this building right now, unless they've got guardians or declared incompetent, are freestanding. So this is why you get this paperwork done quickly before people start messing with this. I've seen a man who was married, his wife died. He assigned his daughter to be his power of attorney. He started having a little memory loss. Then he started dating a woman. They got married. Love is grand. Anyway, his Alzheimer's started getting worse. The daughter moved him into our facility for his safety. The new wife didn't like it very much, but there was nothing that she could do because the daughter was the durable power of attorney. The wife came in one day and looked at me and said, I'm taking my husband out to lunch. And I said, you guys have a good time. She went out. She came back 3 hours later with legal paperwork and handed the paperwork to me and said, I am now his legal, durable power of attorney. His daughter has been released. Here's that letter. I'm now the power of attorney. I'm taking him home now. We called the daughter called the attorney. The attorney said, you know what? The man is not declared incompetent, is he? And she said, no, but you knew. He said, you know what? The cards just tell me if they're competent or incompetent. He seemed like he could sign his name. We did so. She took him home. 2 weeks later, he died falling down the stairs from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor at 2 in the morning because the wife wasn't able to take care of him or watch him. So, get the paperwork in place. Get everyone on board. 2, legal judgments of competency should reflect the person with dementia's mental condition, not the need or intolerance of others. Okay? Just because you're angry at your parents and you know you need to take over, do it gently. Don't just start slamming them into a guardianship because, again, it takes attorneys, it takes courts, and judges are very careful about how they assign guardianship anymore. So it has to be based on need, not because my mother is as crazy as a, March hare. Doesn't matter. Do it because they need it. An appointment of a legal guardian often will allow somebody on the outside to stay there longer than get bumped into a facility, because there is somebody there to pay their bills, watch out for them, make sure they don't go anywhere. This all comes to this long and new battles that we're looking at. So we'll talk about each one. Nutrition and hydration. Most living wills will tell people, yes, you can give me IV hydration. Period. Okay? Don't be putting food in me. Don't put tubes in my stomach. But yes, you can give me IVs. The question is, when do we withhold IVs? When do we say, no, we're not putting that peg tube into the stomach and pumping food in? Again, if you're pumping food in, the machine works really well. Great. But what have you kept alive? So nutrition and hydration. We are just now starting to see healthcare rationing. The big country that dealt with it was Canada forever. I used to live in Spokane, Washington. We used to watch the Canadians cross over to Spokane by the carloads, because they knew they could get to our major shopping mall in the north end of Spokane, walk in, say, sweetheart, sit down, and then walk into the first store and say, my wife's having a heart attack. And they knew that we could transport them to the hospital in 10 minutes and usually have quadruple bypass done in 24, knowing that they would have waited 6 to 12 months in Canada to get the same service. So we used to see them come across all the time. In fact, Holy Family Hospital in Spokane they called it the Canadian wing, because they weren't Medicare patients, they were Canadians, so they had to go by their laws about what they could and could not do. So, healthcare rationing. The Obamacare law is already saying that women over 82, if they are diagnosed with breast cancer, will not be given any chemo. That's already in the Obamacare laws. We're going to start seeing limiting of healthcare services. Assisted suicide and mercy killings. There is no state within the 50 states that have mercy killing. There is one state that has assisted suicides. And of course, it would be on the west coast of the US, and that would be Oregon, okay? Where they also legalize marijuana and have marijuana shops in downtown Portland now. Although it's illegal by federal law, the state is saying, we'll do what we want. So, they have assisted suicide. You have to live in Oregon for at least 9 months before you can go to a doctor and say, I'm terminal, I want to die. To which then he will write you a prescription for 3 medications. The funny thing is, it's basically the same 3 medications we use when we put people to death in prison. You can get them from the pharmacy. Anyway, you get them from the pharmacy, you go home, and you take this little cocktail, and that's it. You're done. Sounds good. Except for the law protected the doctors, but it didn't do anything for the pharmacists. So the first people that started doing this, the pharmacists were getting blamed because they should have known that that combination of 3 drugs would cause death. And the amounts. So the pharmacists now by law in the state of Oregon do not have to fill these prescriptions. So you go to Walgreens for one and CVS for the other one. You really have to want to kill yourself badly. But that's the only way to get around it. The state is right now looking at abolishing the law. It just didn't work. It was being used for stupid things. They thought it was a great idea for people that had terminal cancer. I'm done. I don't want to go through the pain. I'll do this myself. That was the idea. It was used for depression and everything else. We've talked about competency, quality of life. This is what I always tell people when I'm counseling families. This scale of quantity and quality. People with Alzheimer's, as they get into middle and late stage, I always tell people, you're looking for quality. Quantity, time is not their friend. You will get a little gift from God called pneumonia, called irregular heart rate. And the doctor tells you, we could put a pacemaker in. You're just going to buy my dad 5 more years? No, we're done. I want quality in my parents' life. Quantity, the longer they're around, the worse it will get for them. So let's look at and having to make those decisions. No, this is not what my mother said she'd ever want. No, we're not doing it. And you always have the right to refuse. See, one of your rights, a guardianship takes away, you have the right to refuse care, service, and medications. So a doctor can tell you, you've got to do this or you'll die. You have the right to say, c'est la vie, I'm done. Thank you very much. And then the futility of treatment. When do we say as a medical profession, enough is enough is enough? When does the cardiologist say, you know what, I have the skills to put a pacemaker in, but I'm not going to do it? And see, there's the real problem. Doctors by law have to offer the service, be it a pacemaker, be it whatever it is. So they have to offer. And then I'm sure there's times they're going, oh, please say no, please say no, don't do this. But futility of treatment. When do we say as a profession, we need to stop this stuff? And when are we going to get the backing of the population? Because we all know we can keep a body alive for years and years and years. So that's the other legal and ethics we're looking at now. So, any questions about legal issues in dementia? Now, and I'll mention it briefly. In the legal issues part, and we talk about finances. Finances as a whole, I don't even want to get into that one because it's just so complex. Trust, how to, put money, how to gift money out before, legally any adult can gift $6,000 out to as many people as they want to run their money out. But you can't gift $150,000 to you and then leave them bankrupt so that Medicaid picks them up. I don't want to get into all that financial stuff. What I do want to tell you, get the paperwork in place. Tell the family what you're doing. Period. This is what I want. But again, power of attorneys can override living wills. That's why it's best if the whole family knows, so at least somebody can go, what are you doing? Dad said he never want that. Then the two of them can at least discuss it. This is not what Dad ever wanted. This is not what Mom wanted. Why are you all of a sudden trying to do this? Get everything out in the open. It's just easiest. So, any questions about all those legal issues of power? Oh, I was afraid you'd put your hand up.
You don't know what one I was going to ask.
Okay. Go ahead.
You were talking about the quality of life, irregular heart rate, pneumonia. Are there other symptoms that could come into somebody who's really at the age and they're at the
late stage? There's a
late stage.
They lay around because of their mobility issues. They get skin sores, they get infections. How aggressive? Oh, we can take her in for surgery and do a skin flap. We're buying time again.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they have pneumonia. okay, we're going to put her on a Z-Pack, but then we'll put her on a ventilator. No, no ventilators. Thank you. She either pulls through this. Yes, you can put a little oxygen in their nose, but no ventilators, please. You know, we don't need time being there's a million things. You know, blood clots can start forming from, you know, do we do the surgery to put the screens in to stop the blood?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out.
You know, no, this is when you say thank you, enough is enough. You know, the machine is 94, the hard drive is really broken. We need to say enough is done. And it sounds cruel, but again, time is none of these people's friends.
No.
And that's when you just have to swallow and say, you know what, I may be cutting 6 months off of Dad's life, but Dad doesn't even know he has a life. Yeah. He's just wandering in circles. This is not good. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
If you have two durable power of attorney, say husband and brother, is there a number 1 and a number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
The law, okay. If you've ever read your durable power of attorney, it will say, I, Alexander Carnview, in the event that I am unable to speak or make decisions for myself, am assigning, okay, unable to make decisions and unable to talk. I'm assigning her, because she's going to say, I've known Carm for years. He has always said, no tubes, no ventilators, let him go, doc. And the doc would go, okay, you're that person. But if she and I are in the same car, we better have her who can say, oh, I'm so sorry the drunk killed, you know, hit both of them, but you always name and you can name my children, Susie, Ralph, that you can, you know, and they will go in that order. You never make multiple children at the same level, because now you've got 5 children fighting. The doctor's going, am I doing the surgery or not? Would you guys like vote so I know what I'm doing? So no, it's always my wife, then this child, then this child, then this child. You can name. Heck, you can name the phone book if you want to make sure that that document holds till your death. But never just name a husband. You're always going to have to name somebody else. Yeah?
But yet you said the wife, the second wife walked in and made herself the power of attorney.
Yeah?
Now I've got 4 powers of attorney.
No.
How did she...
Once the attorney that she went to had revoked the daughter's power of attorney and assigned the new wife as his power of attorney.
Because the father had not been deemed incompetent.
Because no one had said
Right,
he...
but what about the other power of attorneys?
It's revoked. It's done. It's a worth...
All 3 of them that I assigned are now revoked. The wife took over and walks off with everything.
Yeah.
The new wife.
That was it. Very good.
That's what I thought.
No, that's not very good. I don't get that.
Well, okay. Oh, thank goodness the attorney's not here. Okay. This is law. There is, okay, there's law and then there's common sense. And we've all seen this, where you sit there and go, what were the courts thinking? You know, Casey Anthony. What were they thinking?
Well, yeah, that too.
You know, so, you know, Obamacare. What were they thinking? You know, anytime you get law involved, sometimes common sense just floats off. But we are all innocent until proven guilty. We are also all competent unless deemed incompetent. This guy, no one, I mean, truly, he was a, you know, this kind of demented person, shuffling, single word answers. She took him in.
And he signed.
And he signed.
But how do you get somebody like that to sign that they're interested?
Here, sign your name.
No, I mean, to make them incompetent. How do you get them to the doctor to get that form?
You get it. This is something that you discuss with your wife if it ever starts. Get me to a doctor. Let's get this on board now so that, you know, we can't get ripped off. It's just almost a gentleman's agreement between you and a doctor. The doctor knows, and then if anything ever goes wrong in the hospital, he can whip out the document saying he signed this, the wife signed this. He knew he was incompetent. He understood his decision-making capacity was leaving him, so he wanted this deemed. But for a court battle, it takes 2 doctors. And just to tell you how funny the law is, so you're picked up on the streets, we put you at Springbrook, they take you, the board, there's a board that meets every 2 weeks, they deem you a guardian, you're incapable. 2 doctors say she's incapable. She can take the meds, start putting both feet firmly on the ground again, go out of district, go to Miami, find a doctor and say, do I look crazy to you? No. Could you write that, that I'm competent? Okay. There you go. Thank you. And she is now legally deemed competent again. 1 doctor, 2 to be declared incompetent, 1, and it can be, and to be declared incompetent, 1 is a psychiatrist, 1 is a medical doctor, usually both psychiatrists. The other one can be any doctor. It can be a dermatologist. It can't be a podiatrist, though. I can tell you that. It's got to be, it could be an oral surgeon, though. If it's an oral surgeon, MD, he could say, you look good to me, and your teeth are great.
What if the person has progressive dementia, and you know they're incompetent? It's too late then to have them?
You have to find an attorney that would work with you and say, I understand what we're trying to get done here. Now, if you are the only person taking care of parents, go for it. Because you know what? No one's going to argue with you. It's if you have two, brothers and sisters going, why are you? Oh, because, okay, another facility in the Villages. Man, lots of land and cattle, lots of money. His neighbors were taking care of him because he still knew how to run the ranch, but his ex-wife's sister's child. Anyway, she goes to Montana, takes him on a drive. I'm just going to take him on a little vacation. The neighbors said they'd run the ranch. She took him from Montana to Florida, found an attorney, had the attorney assign her as the durable power of attorney for financial and health care, and then 3 days later filed paperwork for incompetency. Same attorney, same niece.
Wow. There's a lot of holy crap.
This is when it doesn't make sense, but it's there. It is legal.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So if you have a thing, you're taking care of parents and you need to get paperwork in place, durable power of attorney, living wills. You know what? If they still can sign their name, most attorneys will go, I understand what you're trying to do here. Thank you. But don't try to say that, let's sign them over for guardianship and give me all their money, because that's when attorneys are going, no, I'm not getting caught in that. Yeah.
I think that and I'm a social worker, I think it's really important that you understand that there are ethical attorneys and then there are attorneys. And there are a group of attorneys that specifically are designated to take care of our elder people. And they're called elder attorneys. And they're schooled in the most recent laws that protect, or are supposed to protect,
the elderly.
The elderly. And so when you look for an attorney, especially if you have a parent or a loved one that has severe dementia, you'd be wise to look for not a real estate attorney or another kind of attorney, but look for an elder attorney who really knows the law and can protect that person.
Yeah, and they will understand what you're trying to do. Yellow Pages, elder law.
Yep.
is what they're called. And there's a herd of them now because elder laws are involved in estates, trusts, writing all that stuff up. And that's why I always tell people, do it before the stuff starts hitting the fan. For us of life will help you focus to a different level on things.
I wanted to be the last one that you had, but I was in New Hampshire.
Okay, I talked briefly to Teresa. Because there are people that missed 1 or 2, we are going to do a repeat of those classes in the new facility. And it may be a Saturday where 9 o'clock to 10 we'll go through 1, and 11 to 12 we'll go, you know, we'll pick these up. So if you're going, I wish my sister, well, drag your sister in. She'll, instead of having these month apart, we'll just run through them so that people get caught up, because there's still more classes to go, guys. But, you know, the best defense against this is to understand it. And I know it's working because I talk to people now that have got a really good grasp, and you're so much easier to talk to because you now...
I was like...
She used to go, why are they doing this? And now she doesn't go, why? She goes, okay, they're doing this. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
You know, versus the why. So we're going to redo these classes. So if you want to invite friends, that's fine. I don't care. I do this for you guys, not me, not for ORS. You know, I love educating people.
My question to you is, where do you work?
Where do I work?
Or whom
Okay.
do you work? I mean, where did you come from?
Well, Alex and Manette got together 59 years ago.
We don't gotta go that far back.
Not that far? Okay. I work for ORS Home Care. I am a certified psych nurse, and I special in geriatric psychiatric issues.
Right.